Lesson number 17, Open Position Shell Voicings. You can visit the link in the description below to download a free PDF copy of this lesson so you can follow along. In this week's lesson, we're going to be revisiting some of the concepts presented in lessons number 10 and number 11. What we're going to be doing is transposing one of the notes in the voicing down an octave to give it a more full sound. This technique is primarily used in solo piano playing and is very often used in stride piano playing. So let's briefly take a look back at lesson number 10 and the voicing pattern that we learned. So in the key of C major, our 2-5-1 is D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So for the D minor voicing, we used root 7th, and then we went to the root and 3rd, the G7, the 5 chord. Then we went to root and 7th, the major chord. And we also made the 7th resolve down to the 6th, the major chord. So to open up these voicings, every time we find a voicing that has root 3rd, what we're going to do is transpose the bottom note of the voicing, or the root of the chord, down an octave to make it a 10th instead of a 3rd. So let's look at where we have the 3rd in that pattern that we just played. D minor, that's a 7th. Then we get to the G7, root 3rd. So here's our first opportunity to open up the two-part voicing. So what we're going to do is take the root, the G, and move it down an octave, and make it a 10th. And that really gives it a much more fuller sound when compared to the root 3rd. That thinness as much playing in a trio setting or a quartet setting, but you definitely can notice it when you're playing solo piano. So it's a good idea to sometimes take these thirds and open them up. And then we can go back and resolve to the C major 7 the same way that we did before. Let's try it in a couple other keys. So let's look in the key of B flat. So our 2-5-1 in the key of B flat is C minor 7, F7, B flat major 7. So in the C minor we're going to play root 7th again. Then instead of playing a 3rd on the next chord, the F7, the FA, we're going to take that bottom note, the root F, and transpose it down an octave. And then we're going to go to the B flat major just like normal, and resolve to the 6th. So let's compare the two. So here's how the voicings were originally before opening them up. Here's how they sound with the second chord opened up. Let's try one more key before moving on. How about the key of A flat major? So our first chord in a 2-5-1 is B flat minor, root 7th, root 3rd, root 7th. Now you notice I did sort of an arpeggiation of the 10th there. It's because I can't quite reach it. So in some of these chords you'll actually have to do sort of a jumping motion. And the way you can connect those together while playing solo piano is simply put the pedal down slightly on the first note. It just takes a little practice and a little getting used to, but really you should have no problem doing that. Now let's take a look at our second set of voicing options that we looked at in lesson number 11. So in the key of C major again, D minor 7, G7, C major, we started with root 3rd on our 2 chord, going to root 7th, going to root 3rd. Okay? So in this progression, or in this pattern, we have 2 opportunities to open up the voicings because we have 2 voicings built on thirds. So our first voicing, the D minor 7, we can take that root, the D, transpose it down an octave, and we get that. Then we go to our root 7th, keep that the same. And then our 3rd, instead of playing C major, root 3rd, we're going to transpose that root down an octave, and we get that. So it ends up sounding something like this. Here's how it would sound in the key of B flat. There's another opportunity where I had to use the pedal because I couldn't quite reach the 10th. In the key of A flat. We could have actually done that up an octave. Okay, now that we've got the idea of how to open up these voicings, I'm going to play our patterns through all 12 keys. So here's the first variation where we start on the root 7th of the 2 chord. 1, 2, ready, go. One, two, ready, go. Okay, now let's look at the second variation of the pattern we learned in lesson number 11. And here it is in all 12 keys. 1, 2, ready, go. One, two, ready, go. Try applying these voicings to the tunes that you're working on in your practice routine. Let your ear be your guide for whether you should use open position voicings or the closed position voicings we learned in lesson number 10 or 11. Pretty soon you'll develop your own voice and you'll learn what sounds better to your ears and what sounds better with the type of improvising that you're doing. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I do come out with new videos every single week, so if that's something you might be interested in, please feel free to subscribe. Also feel free to leave me a comment below or send me a message with any requests or any questions you might have about my videos. Thanks.